haven't had sex in 6 months, the giant Apache sister and the rancher, dramatic Western story, the twin sons of the desert planet Arita Prime beat down mercilessly, painting the wide plains gold and red. Small dust clouds rose with every gust of wind, twisting and dancing across the open land like spirits of the ancient world. In this lonely stretch of space, life was hard, but it had its own rhythm, its own strange beauty. Among the rolling hills and endless dunes, a ranch stood quietly, surrounded by fences made from metal rods and solar wires. The ranch was vast, home to strange, genetically engineered creatures that looked like cattle but shimmered faintly under the twin suns. These were the pride of the giant Apache sister, the tallest and most respected woman in the region. She moved across the ranch with slow, purposeful steps. Her long braids swung behind her like a pendulum, and her boots sank slightly into the warm sand with every step. Her name was Ayana, and people whispered about her strength and wisdom as if she were a legend come alive. Ayana was not just big in size. Her presence filled every corner of the ranch. Her gaze, calm and steady, watched over her herd like a shepherd guarding sacred ground. But today, there was something strange in the air. The herd of shimmering cattle grew restless, their soft hums of energy turning into uneasy murmurs. Ayana crouched to touch one of them, feeling the vibrations of worry ripple through its body. "Something is coming," she murmured to herself, voice soft but certain. The desert always spoke if you were willing to listen. The wind brought a different sound too, a metallic hiss that didn't belong to the natural world. In the distance, a vehicle approached, kicking up a long trail of dust. It was a rover, old and worn, yet sturdy enough to survive the harsh desert. At its wheel was the rancher, a man whose past was as mysterious as the ruins scattered across the planet. His face was sun-tanned and lined, not from age but from countless days under the harsh suns. The rover stopped near the ranch gates with a cloud of dust. The rancher climbed down, boots crunching on sand and gravel. He squinted at the sprawling ranch, unsure if he had found the right place. He had heard stories about the giant Apache sister, stories of courage, wisdom, and the strange bond she had with her herd. Some said she could calm even the wildest of creatures with a single word or a look. Ayana spotted him from a distance and raised a hand in greeting. Her expression was neutral, but her eyes were sharp, studying this newcomer carefully. "You're far from the trade post," she called out, her voice carrying easily across the open plains. "I go where the supplies go," the rancher replied with a small smile. He tipped his hat, shielding his eyes from the suns. "I heard you might need help with the herd." Ayana studied him for a moment, her hand resting lightly on a shimmering cow's head. "Perhaps," she said finally, "but it is not easy. The herd senses something different today." The rancher's brow furrowed. "Different how?" "They are afraid," Ayana said, her voice soft but firm. "They feel something coming, something beyond the plains." The desert stretched endlessly, dunes rolling like waves frozen in time. "You think it's another storm?" he asked. On Arita Prime, storms were rare but fierce, capable of burying a ranch in hours. Ayana shook her head. "No storm has ever moved like this. This is something else." The air shimmered as the sun sank slightly in the sky. Then, without warning, glowing streaks appeared overhead. Tiny lights darting like fireflies. But these fireflies moved with purpose, leaving a faint trail of color in their wake. The herd grew more restless, stamping their hooves and lowing in unease. The rancher's eyes widened. "I've never seen that before." Ayana nodded slowly. "Neither have I." "But we must prepare. The herd will follow instinct. We must guide them safely." Together they moved toward the open plains. The rancher followed Ayana's lead, marveling at her confidence. She didn't speak much, but every movement, every gesture was filled with authority. The herd responded immediately to her presence, forming a protective line as they moved. The glowing lights in the sky shifted and pulsed, almost like they were signaling something. Hours passed as the suns began to set. The twin shadows of Ayana and the rancher stretched long across the sand. They had guided the herd to a small canyon, a place where the animals could be safe from whatever unknown force was disturbing the plains. The canyon walls rose high, jagged and dark against the colorful sky. Here the herd settled, quieting down as if reassured by the natural barriers. Ayana and the rancher sat on a rock, catching their breath. The air smelled faintly of ozone and heat. The glowing lights above had slowed their movements, hovering near the horizon like sentinels. "You're good with animals," the rancher said finally, breaking the silence. "I've never seen anyone calm a herd like that." Ayana shrugged, looking out over the canyon. "It is not skill. It is understanding. You cannot force them. You can only listen." The rancher nodded, understanding more than he could express. He had spent most of his life alone on the frontier, but he had never met anyone like her, someone who seemed to belong to the land as much as it belonged to them. Night fell. The canyon became a quiet, protective shell around the herd. Stars blinked to life in the sky, and the twin moons of Arita Prime cast a silver light across the sand. The glowing streaks in the distance had disappeared, but the sense of anticipation lingered. Suddenly a low hum vibrated through the ground, subtle but undeniable. The herd lifted their heads, ears alert. Ayana placed her hand on the nearest cow's head, closing her eyes as if listening to the heartbeat of the planet itself. The rancher leaned closer. "It's coming," she said quietly. "Something is moving under the sands. Something old. Something. Alive." The rancher's hand tightened around the strap of his satchel. "What do?" he asked. "We wait," Ayana said. "We guide them. And we watch." They spent the night under the stars, silent except for the occasional lowing of the herd and the soft rustle of wind through the canyon walls. The rancher, it was a night of wonder and unease. He had come seeking simple trade, but instead he found himself at the edge of a mystery that he could not yet comprehend. When dawn broke, the first hints of sunlight lit the canyon in soft gold. The herd was calm, grazing quietly, but Ayana's eyes were fixed on the horizon. "Something is out there," she said, "and it is not just the herd that senses it." The rancher squinted toward the rising suns. For the first time in years he felt a thrill that had nothing to do with danger. It was curiosity, raw and exciting. He had come to the frontier for isolation, but now he realized he might have stumbled into an adventure far beyond what he had imagined. Ayana rose, brushing sand from her pants. "We cannot wait for it to find us," she said. "We must go to it. We must understand it. Will you come?" Then he nodded. "I'll follow, wherever it leads." And so, together, the giant Apache sister and the rancher stepped out of the safety of the canyon and into the desert beyond. The glowing horizon ahead promised secrets, challenges, and discoveries. For the first time, the rancher understood what it meant to be alive on the frontier, where every day brought the unknown and every step carried the possibility of wonder. Above them, the twin suns rose higher, bathing the land in light. The desert was quiet again, but the sense of anticipation lingered, like a heartbeat waiting to be felt. And far off in the distance, a shimmer of energy hinted at a story that had waited 1,000 years to be uncovered. The adventure had begun. The desert stretched endlessly before Ayana and the rancher, golden under the twin suns of Arita Prime. The ground was hard and dry, cracked like old pottery, but here and there, strange glowing rocks sparkled faintly, like scattered stars fallen from the sky. The air smelled of warmth and metal, and a low hum seemed to echo faintly beneath their feet. Ayana led the way, her boots leaving light imprints in the sand. The rancher followed closely, adjusting his satchel over his shoulder. His eyes never stopped scanning the horizon, alert to every movement, every shadow. Though he had lived on frontier planets before, something about today felt different. It was not danger he sensed, but anticipation. Something was waiting for them ahead.
"Are you sure this is the right way?" the rancher asked.
Ayana did not look back. "The herd brought us here," she said. Her voice was calm, certain. "They sense it too. Trust them, as I trust the land." The glowing streaks from the night before had vanished, but a faint shimmer hovered on the horizon. As they walked, the sand began to change. It was softer, finer, almost like dust from a crystal cave. Tiny ridges formed underfoot, patterns that looked like symbols. The rancher bent down to examine them. "They're not natural," he said. "Someone or something made these." "Long ago," Ayana said quietly, "a people lived here who could speak to the land. They left messages for those who would listen. They walked in silence for a while, the quiet broken only by the soft crunch of their boots and the distant hum that seemed to rise from the ground itself. Finally, the desert gave way to a strange formation, a series of jagged cliffs rising abruptly from the plains. Nestled between the cliffs was an entrance, a dark archway carved directly into the rock. Ayana approached at first, reaching out to brush away the sand that partially covered the opening. The walls were etched with patterns, geometric shapes, flowing lines, and strange symbols that glowed faintly blue under the sun's light. "The ruins," she whispered. They have been waiting for us. The rancher stepped closer, awe written across his face. They're incredible, he said. Who built this? No one remembers, Ayanna said. Only the land does. And it speaks if you listen. She gestured for him to follow, and they entered the ruins. The inside was cool, a relief from the harsh sun outside. The walls glowed softly, illuminating pathways that twisted and turned like the veins of a great tree. The air smelled faintly of ozone and stone, and the hum grew louder, as if the ruins themselves were alive. This place, the rancher said, almost in a whisper. It feels different. Ayanna nodded. It is. These ruins are not just stone. They hold knowledge, power, and memory. We must be careful. One wrong step, and the secrets here will remain hidden forever. As they walked deeper, the walls became taller, the glow brighter. They came to a large chamber, circular and wide, with a domed ceiling that seemed to stretch into the sky itself. In the center of the chamber was a strange device, made of metal and crystal. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat, and small lights danced along its surface. This is it, Ayanna said. The heart of the ruins. The rancher circled the device, studying it carefully. What does it do? He asked. It is said to control the weather of the planet, Ayanna explained. Long ago, the people here used it to bring life to the desert. Rain, wind, sunlight, all were guided by this device. The rancher's eyes widened. You mean this could help the ranch? Ayanna nodded. Yes. If we understand it, it could save the herd, the crops, even the town. But it is delicate. Misuse could bring drought, storms, or worse. They studied the device together, Ayanna tracing her fingers along the glowing patterns. The symbols responded, brightening where she touched, as if recognizing her. The rancher leaned over, examining the intricate mechanisms and ancient markings. It's incredible, he said. I've never seen anything like this. Few have, Ayanna said. The ruins protect themselves. Only those with respect for the land can unlock their secrets. Suddenly, a low vibration ran through the chamber, causing dust to drift down from the ceiling. The hum grew louder, almost like a song. Ayanna and the rancher exchanged a glance. Something was waking. The rancher stepped back. Do you feel that? Ayanna closed her eyes, listening. Yes, it is responding to us. They spent hours exploring the chamber, mapping the symbols and deciphering small patterns. Ayanna's understanding of the land allowed her to sense the rhythm of the ruins, the flow of energy that ran beneath their feet. The rancher's knowledge of machines and tools helped him understand the device's mechanisms. Together they began to unravel the mystery. As they worked, they heard faint voices outside, carried by the wind. Ayanna froze. Someone is coming, she said. The rancher peered through a slit in the rock wall. In the distance, figures appeared, moving swiftly across the desert. They wore the uniform of the corporate colonists, a group known for taking land and resources without thought for the people or animals that live there. They want the device, the rancher said. They want to control the planet, just like the legends say. Ayanna's jaw tightened. Then we must act carefully. We cannot let them misuse it. But we will not fight them. We will outsmart them. The duo moved through the ruins with careful steps, using hidden corridors and shadows to remain unseen. They reached another chamber filled with panels and levers, glowing softly with the power of the device. Ayanna studied the controls, tracing the lines of energy that flowed between them. This is where we can guide the device, she whispered. We must be precise. The rancher nodded. I trust you. Hours passed as they carefully calibrated the device, adjusting energy flows and symbols to balance the ruin's power. Outside, the colonists searched, unaware that the key to controlling the planet lay just out of reach. Finally, the device pulsed brightly, and a wave of energy spread through the ruins. The hum became a gentle vibration, almost like a sigh of relief. Ayanna and the rancher stepped back, exhausted but triumphant. It's done, Ayanna said softly. The balance is restored. For now. We did it. But their victory was short-lived. The energy from the device caused a shimmer across the chamber floor. Shapes moved within it, hints of something alive, something ancient. Ayanna's eyes widened. The ruins are aware, she said. The rancher took a cautious step forward. Aware of what? Ayanna's voice was quiet but firm. Of us. Of everyone. They have waited for someone who could understand them, and they are watching. The shimmer pulsed once, then faded. Silence returned to the chamber, but the feeling of being observed lingered. The rancher and Ayana exchanged a look, a mix of awe and uncertainty. "Whatever is out there," Ayana said, "we are not alone. And this is only the beginning." The suns were setting outside, casting long shadows across the desert. The glow of the ruins lit their faces as they prepared to leave. The corporate colonists had not found them yet, but the sense of urgency remained. The desert was full of secrets, and the ruins had more to reveal than either of them could imagine. As they stepped back into the fading light, Ayana glanced at the rancher. "We must return tomorrow," she said. "There's more to learn, more to understand. The herd will need us, and the planet will need guidance." The rancher nodded, a sense of determination in his eyes. "Then we go, whatever it takes." The twin suns dipped below the horizon, bathing the desert in deep orange and purple hues. Shadows stretched across the dunes, and the faint shimmer of energy lingered on the wind. The ruins had shared a part of their secret, but the real story was only beginning. Together, the giant Apache sister and the rancher walked back to the canyon, leading the herd safely as night fell. Stars blinked to life above them, and the twin moons cast silver light across the sand. The desert was quiet, but it felt alive with possibilities, mysteries, and challenges yet to come. And somewhere deep beneath the sands, the ruins waited, patient and watchful, ready for the next step in a story that had begun long before humans arrived. The adventure continued. The next morning, the desert on Arita Prime was quiet, almost too quiet. The twin suns rose slowly over the horizon, casting long golden beams across the dunes. The herd grazed peacefully, their shimmering coats catching the light, but Ayana felt a low hum vibrating through the ground. She stopped mid-step and placed her hand on the nearest cow. "It is alive again," she murmured. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the horizon. "The ruins. They are responding to something." The rancher, adjusting his satchel, looked at her curiously. "Do you mean the device we activated yesterday?" Ayana shook her head. "It is not just the device. Something deeper. Something beneath the sands. I can feel it moving." They set out across the plains, guiding the herd toward a rocky outcrop that would provide shelter and allow them to observe the energy without putting the animals at risk. The desert stretched endlessly, a sea of gold and amber, but subtle ripples in the sand hinted at the power stirring below. As they walked, Ayana spoke softly. "These ruins are ancient. They were built to communicate, to guide those who respect the land. The device is only part of it. The energy flows through the desert, through the rocks, through everything living here." The rancher nodded, thinking of the delicate balance they had maintained yesterday. "And if someone misused it?" he asked. Ayana's gaze darkened slightly. The planet could suffer. Rain would fail, crops would wither. The herd, everything we care about, could be lost. They reached the rocky outcrop as the suns climbed higher, lighting the desert in a harsh golden glare. Ayana set up a small observation point, using rocks and mirrors to create simple signals. The rancher studied the ground carefully, noting small vibrations in the sand. "It's like the desert itself is alive," he said, running his hand over the grains. "I can feel it pulsing." Ayana smiled faintly. "It speaks to those who listen." For a while they watched in silence, noting how the energy moved in patterns, waves of light flickering across the desert floor, pulses that seemed to follow the movements of the sun. The rancher's curiosity grew with every moment. He had spent years on the frontier, surviving storms and sandquakes, but he had never seen a land that seemed so aware, so connected. "Do you think it knows we are here?" he asked, finally breaking the silence. "I know it does," Ayana replied. "And it trusts us, for now." Suddenly the ground beneath their feet vibrated stronger than before. The herd lifted their heads, ears twitching, muscles tense. Ayana placed her hand on one of the cows, feeling the rhythm of the energy pulse through the animal. "It is testing us," she said. "We must move carefully." The vibration grew stronger, and faint shimmering lights appeared across the desert. The air became warmer, almost electric, and the twin suns seemed to flicker in intensity. The rancher realized they were witnessing the desert itself reacting to the energy of the ruins. "This is incredible," he whispered. "It's like the desert is alive, guiding us." Ayana nodded, her eyes focused on the horizon. "We must follow it, but carefully." "The ruins are calling. They will show us something important, but only if we remain calm and attentive." They led the herd toward a narrow canyon where the desert pulses seemed stronger. The rocks along the canyon walls glowed faintly, and the sand moved in slow, graceful waves, almost like water frozen in time. The rancher felt a thrill run through him. He had expected danger, but instead he found wonder, a living puzzle to solve, full of energy and mystery. As they reached the heart of the canyon, the shimmering lights converged on a particular area. Ayana's eyes widened. "The energy, it is forming a field," she said. "We are standing in the middle of something extraordinary." The rancher stepped forward cautiously, reaching out toward the glowing air. A faint tingling brushed his fingertips, as if the energy were greeting him. "It feels alive," he said. Ayana smiled faintly, but her tone was serious. "It is alive, and it is judging us." For the next several hours they observed the energy field, mapping its movements and learning its patterns. The rancher's technical mind tried to understand it logically, while Ayana relied on her intuition, listening to the subtle vibrations in the air and ground. Together they began to understand the rhythm of the energy, the way it pulsed like a heartbeat, connected to the land, the ruins, and even the herd. As they worked, their conversations became quieter, more personal. Ayana spoke of her childhood, growing up on the frontier with the herd as her only companions. She spoke of the loneliness that came with her heightened strength and how she had learned to find comfort in the rhythm of the land and the trust of the animals. The rancher listened quietly, sharing pieces of his own life, how he had traveled from planet to planet, always alone, searching for purpose and belonging. "I thought I could survive anywhere," he said, "but I never realized how much I needed something to care for, until now." Ayana glanced at him, her eyes softening. "The desert teaches you patience," she said. "It teaches you to notice what others overlook, and it rewards those who listen, even when it is hard." It was not spoken aloud, but each action, each glance, carried a quiet understanding. They were no longer two strangers thrown together by chance. They were partners, relying on each other's strengths, balancing intuition and logic, courage and caution. Suddenly, a new vibration ran through the canyon, stronger and faster than before. The energy field pulsed wildly, bending light and casting strange shadows across the walls. The herd stirred, restless and anxious. "We need to stabilize it," Ayana said urgently. "If it collapses, it could disturb the desert for miles." The rancher nodded. "Show me what to do." Ayana guided him to a series of crystalline panels embedded in the canyon walls. "Touch them in sequence, follow the rhythm of the pulses," she instructed. "Focus on the flow. Feel it, not just see it." Together, they worked in perfect harmony. The rancher followed her instructions carefully, matching his movements to the pulses of the energy. Ayana moved alongside him, adjusting the flow, guiding the herd, and maintaining the delicate balance of the field. Minutes stretched like hours. The pulses intensified, then slowed. The shimmer of light became steady, gentle, like a heartbeat settling into rhythm. Finally, the canyon became calm again. The energy field stabilized, glowing softly without wild fluctuations. They both collapsed onto the sand, breathing heavily but smiling. "We did it," the rancher said, looking at Ayana with admiration. "Yes," she replied, a rare smile crossing her face. "We listened, we worked together, and the desert rewarded us." The twin suns were beginning to set, painting the canyon in shades of orange and purple. The herd grazed peacefully, unaware of the extraordinary events that had just unfolded around them. The rancher watched the shimmer of the energy field, feeling a sense of wonder he had not felt in years. "Do you think it will stay like this?" he asked. Ayana shook her head slightly. "The desert is always changing. We have only stabilized it for now. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new tests." The rancher nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. "Then we'll face them, together." As the first stars appeared in the sky, Ayana and the rancher sat side by side, watching the twin moons rise over the canyon. They did not need to speak. The bond between them was clear in their shared silence, the understanding that they were no longer alone, that they had found someone who could match their strength, their courage, and their heart. Somewhere deep beneath the sand, the ruins pulsed faintly, acknowledging their presence. The energy of the desert hummed in response, a quiet, constant reminder that the land was alive, aware, and full of secrets yet to reveal. The energy field had tested them, shown them a glimpse of the desert's power, and deepened their connection to each other. But beyond the canyon, the desert waited, full of mysteries, puzzles, and challenges that would demand all their courage, patience, and trust. Ayana rose first, brushing sand from her boots. "We should return to the herd," she said. "They need rest, and we need to prepare. The desert will speak again tomorrow, and we must be ready to listen. The rancher followed, standing tall beside her. Whatever comes, he said, we face it together. The twin suns dipped below the horizon completely, leaving the desert bathed in the soft silver glow of the moons. Shadows stretched across the dunes and the energy field shimmered faintly in the distance, a promise of challenges and discoveries yet to come. Together, the giant Apache sister and the rancher walked back through the canyon, their footsteps quiet but certain. The desert was alive, the ruins were watching, and the bond between them had grown stronger with every pulse of energy, every shared thought, and every quiet moment of understanding. The night was calm, but the desert whispered possibilities, and the story was far from finished. Tomorrow, the adventure would continue. The desert of Arita Prime glimmered under the twin suns as dawn stretched across the horizon. The sand rippled gently in the soft wind, and the herd stirred, sensing the beginning of a new day. Ayanna stood at the edge of the canyon, her eyes scanning the glowing horizon where the energy field from the ruins still shimmered faintly. Beside her, the rancher adjusted his satchel and took a deep breath. Today, Ayanna said quietly, we will uncover the heart of the ruins. We will understand why it called to us and how it can help the land. And the colonists? He asked, eyes narrowing slightly. They could still be nearby? They do not understand. They will not interfere. Not yet. The ruins only reveal themselves to those who listen. Let us see what the desert has chosen to show us. Together, they guided the herd across the plains, following the faint pulses of energy that radiated from the ruins. The air shimmered in soft waves, and the sand beneath their feet felt alive, almost as if it moved in time with the heartbeat of the planet itself. The rancher marveled at the patterns forming in the desert. Lines of golden dust, faint glows in the rocks, and small whirlwinds that danced gently in place. It is beautiful, he whispered, like the desert itself is alive. Ayanna smiled faintly. It is. It has always been alive. Only now we are learning to hear it. As they approached the ruins, they noticed that the structure had changed subtly since their last visit. The entrance, once just a dark archway in the rock, now glowed softly, lined with symbols that pulsed in rhythm with the energy field. Ayanna stepped forward first, running her fingers along the smooth carvings. They are ready for us, she said. The ruins recognize our efforts. They trust us. The rancher followed, his eyes wide with wonder. I have never seen anything like this, he said. It is alive. Inside, the chamber glowed brighter than before. The walls hummed with energy, and the central device pulsed steadily as if breathing. The rancher approached the device, studying its crystal panels and metal structures. Yesterday we stabilized it, he said. But today, it feels stronger, smarter. Ayanna nodded. It is responding to us, not just the land. It is sharing knowledge, energy, and understanding. We must listen carefully. For hours they explored the chamber, tracing patterns, observing the flows of energy, and noting subtle changes in the light. The ruins seemed to respond to their presence, adjusting and guiding their movements as if leading them to a hidden truth. This is more than a machine, the rancher said quietly. It is alive, a part of the planet itself, and it wants to help, but it can only do so if we respect it, if we balance our actions with care. Suddenly a pulse of energy radiated outward, and the floor beneath them shimmered. Light rose from the device in waves, forming a holographic map of the desert. Rivers of water appeared where there had been only sand. Small forests of alien plants shimmered in green and gold. Herds of shimmering cattle, similar to theirs, roamed freely across the plains. It shows what could be, Ayanna said softly. The desert, alive, thriving, balanced. This is what the ruins can do. This is why it called us. The rancher's eyes widened. We could bring life to the land for everyone. The town, the ranches, the herd. Yes, Ayanna said, but we must be careful. This is delicate. One wrong step and it could all collapse. They spent the day working with the device, guiding energy through the channels, and learning the precise rhythm needed to sustain it. The rancher applied his practical skills, adjusting the panels and crystals, while Ayanna relied on her intuition and connection to the desert. Together they became a perfect balance of logic and instinct, human and land. By afternoon, the ruins' energy flowed smoothly. The desert outside seemed to respond, faint green shoots appearing among the sand, streams of water glimmering where none had been before. The herd grazed happily, seemingly aware of the change. Ayana turned to the rancher, her eyes bright with satisfaction. "We did it," she said. "The desert will thrive. The herd will be safe. And the ruins, they are at peace." The rancher smiled, feeling a sense of pride and awe he had never experienced before. "We did it together," he said. Ayana nodded. "Yes, together." As they stepped outside, the twin suns cast a golden glow across the desert. The light reflected off the newly blooming plants and streams, creating a breathtaking sight. The rancher looked at Ayana and realized how much had changed. Not just the desert, but them. They were no longer two strangers. They were partners, united by courage, trust, and respect. The horizon shimmered faintly, a reminder of the ruins' power and the possibilities yet to come. Ayana and the rancher guided the herd back across the plains, moving toward their ranch, where the townspeople and other ranchers would soon notice the subtle changes in the land. Along the way they shared stories and laughter, the weight of past struggles lifted by the promise of a thriving desert. The rancher spoke of places he had visited and people he had met, while Ayana told stories of her childhood and the lessons she had learned from the herd. Their bond grew stronger with every step, unspoken yet undeniable. By evening, the ranch came into view, nestled among the dunes. The townspeople had noticed changes. The air felt fresher, the soil richer, and the herd moved with energy and confidence. Whispers of awe and curiosity spread through the small settlement. Ayana guided the herd to the corral, and the rancher helped ensure each animal was safe and comfortable. They worked in harmony, a team united by experience, knowledge, and respect for the land. As night fell, the desert was calm. The twin moons cast silver light across the dunes, and the stars sparkled like diamonds. Ayana and the rancher sat on a low ridge, looking out over the transformed landscape. "The ruins," the rancher said softly. "They're incredible. I've never imagined anything like this." "They are more than incredible," Ayana replied. "They are alive. They guide us, teach us, and reward those who respect them. And now they have trusted us." The rancher smiled, glancing at her. "We make a good team," he said. Ayana returned the smile. "Yes, we do." For the first time in years, the rancher felt at home, not just on the frontier, but with someone who understood him, someone who shared his courage and determination. And Ayana, who had always walked alone, felt the comfort of companionship without losing her strength or independence. The desert whispered around them, gentle and alive. Somewhere beneath the sand, the ruins pulsed faintly, a reminder that mysteries remained and adventures were still possible. But for now, balance had been restored. The herd thrived, the land healed, and the bond between the giant Apache sister and the rancher had grown unbreakable. They rose together and walked back toward the ranch, shadows stretching long across the dunes. The twin moons reflected in the shimmering sands, and the air was filled with quiet promise. The future was uncertain but full of possibilities. Ayana looked at the rancher as they reached the corral. "The desert has given us a gift," she said. "We must continue to listen, continue to guide, and protect what we have learned. We will. Together." The herd settled down for the night, calm and content. The desert, for the moment, was peaceful, alive with quiet energy. The ruins below the sands rested, waiting for the next chapter, ready to reveal more secrets when the time was right. As the first light of dawn touched the desert again, the rancher and Ayana stood side by side, looking out over the horizon. The journey had been long and challenging, but they had grown stronger, wiser, and closer. The adventure was over for now, but the desert, the ruins, and the shimmering horizon promised that life on Arita Prime would always be filled with wonder, mystery, and possibility. And together, the giant Apache sister and the rancher were ready to face it all.